Hello everyone, welcome back to Lucy's Cucina. Today I'm going to be making homemade cavatelli. And in Italian, the way we say cavatelli is gavadil. My mother always used to say there's nothing like a nice dish of gavadil. So that's what I'm going to be making today. Now, the recipe calls for 4 cups of flour, 4 eggs, a tablespoon of salt, a cup of warm water, and if you have semolina, a cup of semolina, but you don't have to use it. You can use more flour, up to 5 cups or so. What I did was I separated mine, and I'm only doing a small batch today because it's just easier and would take less time. And I'm making it for my son, and I'm going to put it in the freezer. Okay, so the best way to freeze, I want to tell you now so I don't forget, best way to freeze is after it's done, lay it flat on something, put it in the freezer. After it freezes, then put it in plastic bags, and it can stay for a month or two. And, very well protected freezer bags, okay? So let me just start now. Here is 2 eggs, which I'm just going to beat. I have a half a cup of water, and I have 2 cups of flour with some salt in it already. Now, what I'd like to tell you is you may need more flour depending on, believe it or not, humidity. All right. So if it's a humid day out, sometimes you need more. And it just depends on circumstances. Okay. So I'm taking my flour, which I've already pre-measured. I put the salt in there already. And like I said, this is a half a batch. All right. Depends on how much you need. And there is my flour. I'm just going to be making a well in the middle, okay? Because I have to put my flour in my egg. The trick is to try not to get it to run off to the sides. Now with this amount, I don't know, it's iffy. I'm going to put some of my water in my egg here. And I'm going to mix that up. There we go. I'm going to pour some in the middle, and then I'll see if I need more water. And I'm using just warm water. There, look at that. There, that's what we try not to make happen. If it happens, this is all you have to do. All right, I'm just going to throw some flour on there. This is it. After you do this a couple times, it does get easier. All right, I'm just mixing it up. I'm going to want to get some on my hands. This way it doesn't stick as much when I start. All right, so see, I'm starting to mix that. I'll make another well, pour a little more in there. Like I said, I'm just trying not to get it all over on my floor. Throw the flour and salt in there. Mix it up a little more. Can pull more in. And like I said, after you do this a couple times, you'll start to get the feel for it. There we go. There's some more. Pour a little bit more water in. So I'm just tossing it over. It's coming out the side there. It is easier when you do the full batch because then you have the flour. You have more room to make the well and all. This is like a smaller well in the middle. But as long as I'm staying on my cutting board, that's fine. I have my scraper over here, so I can just move it in like so. Very easy. Take a look at my gnocchi video if you didn't see that yet. That's also a nice pasta to make, the gnocchi, and you use that with potatoes. So let's see. It feels pretty soft. All right. I am going to use the rest of this. If I have to put more flour, I'll put more flour. Let me move that over. Okay. So now you can start with your hands, or you can keep doing it with the fork whenever you feel like it. So tossing it around. I want to pour the rest of my water. All right, so this was 2 eggs and a half a cup of water. There we go. So now it is getting nice and wet. You do want it to be wet, okay, even if you have to add more flour, because it has to mix well. And you don't want a hard pasta. All right, let me get my scraper again. Scrape it back in there. Turn it over, and I'm almost ready to knead it. So this pasta, unlike the gnocchi, this has to be kneaded for 10 to 15 minutes, okay? So I already made some to show you how I'm going to be cutting it. And, this way no one has to wait. You can just see how I will make the gabardine or the cavatelli. All right, so this feels good to start with. I have my reserve flour on the side, which I'm going to knead. N-E-E-D, not the other need. All right. So I'm going to take a spoon of flour and put it on there, and we'll see if that's going to be good. So, you go back and forth a little bit, and little by little, you'll get to learn the feel of it. Okay, so it's sticking again to my cutting board. So, okay, let me get a little bit off, get my scraper again, and turn it over. Another spoon. So it looks like I'll be going up to about 2.5 cups of flour. And again, it's another rainy day out. So that's what happens. All right, so mixing it together. See, it's nice and soft. The dough is nice and soft. I have plenty of flour on here. Scrape again. There we go. Get it all incorporated there. And we'll see if that's enough. Now, right now I'm using my fingers. Then I'm going to start using my palms. And this is another great project for children. After you do the dough, you can cut it up and have them all roll it out. I mean, it's great. You have everybody help fun time making dinner. Especially during this time, everybody's home more. All right, so actually it still feels a little bit too sticky. I'm going to put a little bit under here more. And I'm just going to start to knead that in. Okay, so you can see it has a nice color. It's not so white from the flour. And okay, here we go. I think this might be it now. So how I'm going to be kneading is I'm going to push down with my palms of my hand, turn it over. Push down, turn it over. Then I'm going to turn it, okay? I'm going to fold it over, push down. That's it. Turn it over again. Move all my flour that I have on the board in here. It is going to stick a little tiny bit, and that's okay. All right, and you just keep turning. Now, try not to stick your fingers in here. You don't want to create air and all. You just want to knead it and then turn it. Knead it and turn it. And that is it. Now, this has to be done for about 10 to 15 minutes. I am going to put a little more because as I started to knead it more, it started to get sticky. Too sticky. There we go. So it looks like I am going up closer. 2.5 cups with the 2 eggs. All right, so I think that might be it. Like I said, it's all kind of a trial. And there we go. Now, I would keep kneading this. 10 to 15 minutes, you can set a timer. See, it's no longer sticking. All right, it's not sticking to my board, sticking just a little bit to me. Not bad at all. I can do my hands, and I still have some wet dough on me. You can wash your hands in between, all right? So now, after, just say it was 10 to 15 minutes, this dough is going to look smooth. You'll be able to tell after you're kneading it. It has to look smooth, and then all you have to do is set it aside and cover it. That's it, okay? So I'm going to finish kneading that after I show you how to actually do the gabardelle. All right, so I'm just scraping this off. I am going to wash my hands, so excuse me for a moment while I come back to my sink. And my dough that I made before has been resting. Okay, so you need it to rest so the gluten can do its job. All righty. So you can let it rest a half an hour, whatever. Just put it in plastic, some kind of plastic. This way it's all covered and it doesn't dry out and crack. Okay. So here is my dough. Now this looks to me a little darker in color, and probably because of my amount of flour that I used according to the egg. Okay. So that's fine. It doesn't matter. I mean, I prefer it a little lighter, so this will be like a little bit more of an egg noodle. All right, so I'm just going to cut a piece off. All right, and then I'm going to roll it. There we go. Now, I think I added a little bit too much flour to mine. It feels a little bit too stiff, but I'm still using it, all right? So what I'll do is I'll cut it smaller and I'll put it in soup. And I won't freeze this portion for my son. I'll leave it for myself and I'll put it in soup. You can just throw a handful into your chicken broth, whatever you have, okay? And then, you know, any kind of sauce, anything you want to put on it. So let me just show you little tiny ones. When you're doing it for soup, you can make little tiny ones, all right? So how I was taught to do this was with my middle finger, turning it straight up and down, pushing like that, and that's it. Okay, that's all you have to do. Now, I've seen a lot of people do it with their thumb. You can push down and turn it, all right? So it's just totally up to you. Now, a lot of times these are made about a ½ inch or so big. It just depends. All right, so that's it. That one turned a lot. That's fine. See? You don't have to fuss with it. They don't have to be perfect, okay? I do recommend that you try to do them the same size. This way they cook a little better, okay? There we go. So I'm easier with my thumb. It makes it easier for me with my thumb. So then I would throw this on the tray that I have here, and it's just a regular tray, you know, flat tray that I'm going to put in my freezer with some flour on it. Nothing fancy. Okay, so you can cut all of your little ones up first. All right, cut them up first, and then you can go through them all. So again, my thumb. That's it. All right. So these are actually the size for the sauce. All right. You would make them smaller if you're going to put them in your soup. Let me make sure you can see. There we go. So that's it. That's all you have to do. So you can make them whenever you want, freeze them, and just, you know, pop them in some soup, put some sauce on them. Any kind of sauce is fine with these. Again, the full recipe is 4 cups of flour with some flour extra on the side, 4 eggs, a tablespoon of salt, a cup of water, and if you have semolina, 1 cup of semolina. If you don't have the semolina, you can add more flour, okay? So that's probably why I went up a little bit higher in the flour, because I didn't have the semolina flour. So that's it for me today. Take a look at my other videos. I'm just making these for my friends to see how I do things. Not a professional video. There's tons and tons on YouTube and all to watch, but I wanted to show you how I do it, okay? So everybody stay safe and enjoy.